Representative Jasmine Crockett, you have 5 minutes. Crockett. Thank you, Madam Chair. Judge Kavanaugh, let's talk about something I hope you're familiar with. The Constitution. Kavanaugh, calmly. Of course, Representative. Go ahead. Crockett, leaning forward. Excellent. Let's start with the basics. Can you define the Equal Protection Clause for the committee? Kavanaugh. It's part of the 14th Amendment. No state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Crockett, good. And what does equal protection mean to you, Judge Kavanaugh? It means laws must treat people equally. No arbitrary discrimination. Crockett. Yet you've consistently sided with decisions that undermine voting rights, women's autonomy, and affirmative action. How do those align with equal protection? Kavanaugh, slightly tense. Those cases were about interpreting the law as written. Crockett. No, Judge. They were about who gets protected and who doesn't. Let's dig deeper. Do you remember Shelby County vs. Holder? Kavanaugh. Yes, that was before my tenure, though. Crockett, indeed. But you've endorsed similar logic since. That decision gutted the Voting Rights Act. You support states making voting harder, not easier. How does that square with equal protection? Kavanaugh. I interpret the Constitution neutrally. Crockett. Neutrality that always seems to lean right, Judge. Curious. Let's talk substantive due process. Ever heard of Griswold versus Connecticut? Kavanaugh. Certainly. A case establishing the right to privacy in marital contraception decisions. Crockett. So you acknowledge a right to privacy exists? Kavanaugh. In some contexts, yes. Crockett. Then why did you vote to overturn Roe versus Wade, stripping away a right grounded in privacy and liberty? Kavanaugh, defensive. That decision returned the issue to the states. Crockett. And what happens when states deny women bodily autonomy, disproportionately impacting poor and minority women? Is that justice? Is that liberty? Kavanaugh pauses. These are complex issues. Crockett. The Constitution is complex, but injustice isn't. It's clear. Let's move on. Do you believe corporations are people? Kavanaugh. Legally, corporations have certain rights. Crockett, right. So you defend corporate speech in Citizens United, but question peaceful protest rights when it's Black Lives Matter. Why the double standard? Kavanaugh. I judge based on precedent. Crockett. Precedent that often prioritizes profit over people. How convenient. Let's talk about the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, right? Kavanaugh, absolutely. Crockett. So why the silence on states banning books? On teachers fired for acknowledging racism? Kavanaugh. The court doesn't intervene in every state matter. Crockett. But you intervened in student loan forgiveness. So it's pick and choose? Kavanaugh, faltering. That case was about executive overreach. Crockett. No, that case was about working-class Americans drowning in debt. You chose corporations over communities again. Audience murmurs, Crockett. Let's try one more. The Ninth Amendment. Know it? Kavanaugh. Yes, it protects rights not explicitly enumerated in the Constitution. Crockett. So when the court limits rights not listed, isn't it ignoring the Ninth? Kavanaugh. Not necessarily. Crockett. Isn't it your job to expand liberty, not restrict it? Kavanaugh, quietly. Within constitutional bounds, yes. Crockett. And yet, time after time, you side with power over the people. That's not neutrality, that's ideology. Kavanaugh, shifting. I respect your perspective, Representative Crockett. Respect doesn't change rulings, Judge, but accountability might. I yield back. Audience erupts in applause. Chairperson, order! Order! Kavanaugh, visibly stunned, takes a sip of water. Thank you for your questions. Crockett, smirking slightly. You're welcome. Education is a public service after all. Let's settle down, folks. This is a hearing, not a rally. Representative Crockett, Your time has expired. Crockett, smiling calmly. Appreciate it, Madam Chair. I think I made my point. Kavanaugh, adjusting his tie, regaining composure. May I respond? Chairperson briefly. Kavanaugh. Representative Crockett, while I understand your passion, I believe your interpretations mischaracterize my judicial record. I am committed to upholding the Constitution fairly and impartially. Crockett, leaning in again. Judge, with respect, upholding the Constitution doesn't mean applying it selectively. Kavanaugh. I don't apply it selectively. Crockett. Really? Because your decisions suggest otherwise. Dobbs, Bruin, Students for Fair Admissions, they all favor the same groups. The powerful, the privileged, the protected. Kavanaugh, defensive. Those cases were grounded in legal reasoning. Crockett. Legal reasoning can still lead to moral failure. Senator interjecting. Madam Chair, is this a hearing or a lecture? Chairperson. She's within her rights to ask tough questions. We'll now resume the session. Representative Crockett, since members yielded time earlier, you may proceed with an additional 3 minutes. Crockett, stand slowly. Appreciate that, Madam Chair. Judge Kavanaugh, back to you. Kavanaugh, stiffly. Go ahead. Crockett, let's talk judicial ethics. Your names appeared in headlines, not for rulings, but for, let's call them lavish gifts, private jets, luxury hunting trips, billionaire friends. Sound familiar? Kavanaugh shifts uncomfortably. Those were unrelated to my duties on the bench. Crockett. Unrelated? Judge, if a regular federal employee took that kind of unrelated gift, they'd be unemployed or in court. Kavanaugh. There are disclosure rules. Crockett, cutting in. Rules you all wrote for yourselves. Meanwhile, the public's faith in the Supreme Court is the lowest it's been in history. Why? Because they see privilege, secrecy, and decisions that help the rich and punish the rest. Kavanaugh. The court has a code of conduct. Crockett. A voluntary one. No real enforcement. No transparency. Sounds less like a court and more like a country club. Audience gasps, then murmurs in approval. Crockett leans closer. Tell me, Judge, how do you expect a 20-year-old nursing student in Detroit to trust a court that flies private with billionaires and shreds student loan relief? Kavanaugh. Again, these issues are complex. There are legal boundaries, Crockett, and moral ones. Lines you've crossed. Public trust isn't just a legal matter, Judge. It's a constitutional one. Article 3 says your job is to uphold justice. That includes appearing impartial. And right now, y'all look bought. Kavanaugh, visibly angry but composed. That is an unfair characterization. Crockett. What's unfair is a system that favors elite donors over everyday citizens. What's unfair is women bleeding out in parking lots because they can't access care. What's unfair is the court being weaponized as a tool of regression. Kavanaugh, I don't respond to political pressure. Crockett. Good, because this ain't pressure, it's the truth. And it's got receipts. Senator off camera. Point of order. Chairperson overruled. The representative may continue. Crockett, facing Kavanaugh again. The Supreme Court is not sacred. The Constitution is. And when the court acts against it, we will hold it accountable. Not someday, not in theory. Now, audience int. Back hallway. Shortly after Judge Kavanaugh walks briskly, flanked by aides. Reporters shout questions. Reporter 1. Justice Kavanaugh, how do you respond to Representative Crockett's accusations? Reporter 2. Did you accept gifts from donors with business before the court? Kavanaugh, gritted teeth, whispering to aide. Get me out of here. Now into TV studio. Night of political panel show is mid-broadcast. The clip of Crockett's confrontation plays in the background. Panel host. What we saw today was unprecedented. A freshman representative, Representative Jasmine Crockett, took a sitting Supreme Court justice to school on law, ethics, and power. And his reaction, silence and sweat. Guest commentator, she didn't just question the court, she challenged the entire system and made it plain, unchecked power will be checked. Loudly. Int. Crockett's office. Nightlights dimmed. She sits alone, reviewing papers, exhausted but proud. Her phone buzzes, a message from her mother. Mom, I watched the whole thing. Your grandfather would be proud. She smiles, a little tear in her eye. Crockett, VO. They say one voice can't change a system, but I've seen what one voice can do when it's armed with truth and speaks for the people. The public response is off the charts. Social media is blowing up with hashtag Justice for the People. Staffer 2. We've got calls from grassroots groups, unions, student orgs. They want hearings. They want reforms. Crockett, nodding. Good, because that's exactly what they'll get. It's time to introduce the Supreme Court Reform Act. Staffer 3. The court packing bill? Crockett. Call it what it is. Democratizing the court. Lifetime appointments with no accountability? That's over. Staffer 1. What's the plan? Crockett term limits, transparency for justices' finances, a binding ethics code, and a commission to review and recommend future appointments? Staffer, too ambitious. It'll face fire from the right. Crockett, they've had fire for decades. It's our turn to light the way. NT Newsroom, day headline scrolls on the screen. Crockett unveils Supreme Court reform legislation. Clip plays of Crockett speaking passionately on the House floor. Crockett on TV. The court is no longer a neutral arbiter, it's a political machine. We will restore its legitimacy by ensuring it serves the people, not plutocrats. EXT, City Street, day massive crowd rallies. Signs justice for all. Reform the court now. Crockett for the people. Crockett on stage. This isn't just about judges or politics. It's about the future of our democracy. We will not be silenced.